Okay, so we've sewn all the way around, and now our next step is to cut where this middle line is. Make sure you don't cut into your stitches. I'm going to start, this is where this little tool comes in real handy, but I'm going to make sure I start a little bit to the inside of that. Don't go through your other stitches either, or you will have messed up. You're going to flip it over, remove your pins, and now you're ready to shove this back through the opening. Okay, now from the front side, sorry, that's my 3-year-old in her new high heels. From the front side, all we're doing now is we're taking the flap that we slit and we're just taking it around to the back and pinning it. You're going to do that all the way around because you're fixing to stitch that down. Okay, it should end up looking something a little bit like this. This fabric's kind of funky. It has a little bit of stretch to it, so it's wanting to come back in. But here's the back, so you can kind of see how that's all pinned down. Now we are going to stitch around this. So go ahead and bring it over to your machine. And let's stitch pretty close, about as close as you can get to the edge of this.
Good job, Mom. Good job, Mom.
Thank you, Kinley. Okay, go ahead and pull your work out, cut it. And now we're going to do the same thing again, but you're going to do it a little bit farther out. So let me show you. This is just really to hold down the work that's behind is what you're doing. This holds this seam allowance down. So again, we're going to go around, but we're going to do it, I don't know, maybe like 1/4 of an inch or so from the edge. Again, with short or close stitching. Also make sure that this that you're sewing down in the back is actually facing down so that you're catching it. Otherwise this would be pointless. You can kind of feel it through the front of the fabric. Back stitch. Pull it out. And you can trim all your little start and stop point. And you have your opening for your pocket. Remember, this is going to be on the inside, so it doesn't have to look perfect on that. Especially this material was not easy to work with. Just in case anyone's thinking about buying minky material, it's kind of, these bumps don't help. Anyway, the next thing we're going to want to do, I want to have a flap that covers my opening, just because I think that if the baby goes to the bathroom, that has the potential to go in there and then get inside the diaper, and I can see that being a huge mess to clean out. So I'm going to make a quick little flap. So here is the material I had previously cut out. I'm going to fold this over, and I'm just going to stitch a top stitch across here, just very simple, to make it hemmed. You can tuck this under too so it doesn't start unraveling your fabric. I'm going to pin it real quick and I'm just going to stitch. Okay, I've hemmed that down. Now I'm just going to match it up as best I can with this. And let me stick a pin, a couple pins in it, and then I'm going to baste around this edge. Okay, now we're just basting around. Like I said, I have a wide stitch on. Okay, this has been sewn down, and you can see you can still get to your pocket under here. That should help with if there's a mess. So, okay, next all you're going to do is you're going to put it right side to right side with your pull piece. That will mean your snaps will be facing up and your soft side will be facing the front of that. Go ahead and go pin all the way around. And you want to pin this pretty good because you want it to stay matched up. Also try and keep your pins holes within the area where your seam allowance is going to be. It's going to be a 1/2 inch seam allowance, just so you don't have to worry about poking holes in the pull if you're trying to keep it obviously waterproof. Okay, we've now pinned all the way around and are ready to sew. So yeah, switch your thing back to a close stitch. This. And again, it's a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And so you're just going to continue to do this all the way around. Okay, we're fixing to do the next step, which is attaching the elastic. And this is elastin. If you were using regular elastic, you would just pin one side down and stitch it and then stretch it as much as you wanted to stretch it per the instructions, and then tack down the other side. This one you actually like sew it in and stretch as you go. So I'm going to pin this first end, if I can. Pin it down, and you need to set, if you can, mine, and this is not a fancy machine by any way, but number 10 on mine is the elastic stitch. You should be able to read in your little booklet that came with it and see if yours has an elastic stitch. If not, and you're doing this, I think a zigzag stitch works okay. So let's go ahead, put it down, and I'm just gonna do a couple stitches to keep it in place. And then I'm gonna start by stretching it like pretty far out, hold it down, and start stitching. And you'll just do this all the way over until you reach your other mark. Okay, you're fixing to do the same thing for the legs. So you will pick whatever side you want to start on, tack it down, stretch it. Don't cut your elastic before. Same for the back. Here was the back that I just finished with the elastic done. You can see it has give, and it still gathers. So same thing. Tack it down and start and stitch one side and then do it to the other, and I'll show you when I'm done with this. Okay, so you have attached your elastic. Should look sort of like this. You can see where it's gathered for the back and the 2 legs. Now what we can do is we can go in and trim. Don't cut your seam, but trim kind of close, just so that you can get rid of this bulk for when you turn the diaper inside out, which is our next step. So ready to turn the diaper inside out. So grab through your little pocket opening got rid of some of that bulk was on your corners. It says it in your directions, so. Okay, and you can see where the legs have now been gathered in the back. You could go ahead and leave the diaper like this, but to give it a more finished look, we are going to go ahead and top stitch all the way around. So let me show you how to do that. Let's start right here. And that'll also give a casing to your elastic. So actually, let me start back here with the elastic. And this part can get a little frustrating and tricky. You just kind of have to work with it a little bit until you get it just how you want it. So you don't want to catch your elastic, you want to go to the outside of it. So make sure when your needle goes down, it's not catching that elastic. Then you're going to have to stretch this as you sew. And you should be able to feel where your elastic ends. So mine is like right about here. Okay, at that point you kind of want to bring it closer to the edge and start top stitching. And you're going to do this all the way around. You're going to do the same for the elastic on the legs. You're just going to pull it like this and stretch it as you sew, and sew along the outside to make a casing. Remember, don't see how this made a casing for that elastic. Don't catch your elastic or else it won't return to its original position. Okay, just finished doing the casings in top stitching. So as you can see, it's top stitched all the way around. There's a casing. And see, those are my pin marks that will eventually go away. Top stitched all the way around the legs. Same thing. I don't know if you can see that. Anyways, so, and you're done, basically. Okay, so I realized I made a mistake. I had these snaps wrong, so I ripped them off and put them on right on the wings, so that when the diaper is folded like this, it can go on. So these snaps will actually be your very last snaps you put on, and they will go through both layers. So here's the finished diaper on the smallest setting. Here's the diaper unsnapped. Okay, so I just put a Bum Genius insert in, and it did great. So here it is. It's not that bulky, so I think it will work pretty good. So I'm happy with it. It was pretty simple. I hope this helps somebody. Good luck.